Well, here I am running again. I seem to be always in a damn hurry when I...
How you feeling?
I'm going to Carson City.
You're going up to Nevada?
Yeah, tomorrow I'm being in Carson City, so...
For over 30 years, Johnny Carson welcomed America's most beloved celebrities onto The Tonight Show, shaping how generations viewed Hollywood itself. Night after night, he sat calmly behind his desk, smiling, joking, and guiding conversations that felt warm, safe, and familiar. To viewers, Carson was the ultimate professional host, someone who treated every guest with respect and humor. But behind the scenes, away from cameras and applause, Carson carried a much darker understanding of the industry he served. According to producers and staff members who worked closely with him, Carson quietly kept a mental list of guests whose racial attitudes disturbed him deeply. These were not misunderstandings or clumsy jokes. These were powerful individuals whose beliefs caused real harm, blocked opportunities, and reinforced exclusion across entertainment. In his later years, Carson reportedly became more honest in private conversations, acknowledging that some of Hollywood's most celebrated icons actively contributed to systemic racism while being protected by fame, nostalgia, and silence. Number 9, Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball was widely admired as a trailblazer who changed television forever. She fought networks for creative control, became one of the first powerful female producers, and defended her Cuban husband Desi Arnaz when executives questioned interracial marriage on screen. Yet behind that progressive reputation, Ball maintained rigid boundaries when it came to racial inclusion. Throughout the entire run of I Love Lucy, no black family ever appeared as neighbors, equals, or recurring characters. Internal production records later revealed that when CBS suggested introducing black characters into the show's world, Ball personally vetoed the idea. Scripts featuring black performers were repeatedly rejected, and guest appearances were quietly declined. Carson reportedly viewed Ball as selectively progressive, willing to challenge norms only when it benefited her personally, while using her power to keep television comfortably white for mainstream audiences. Number 8, Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby's smooth voice and wholesome image made him one of America's most trusted entertainers. Songs like White Christmas became cultural staples, reinforcing his reputation as a gentle, family-friendly figure. However, behind the scenes, Crosby actively resisted racial integration in the music industry. Multiple accounts documented his refusal to perform with integrated bands and his threats to leave record labels rather than share sessions with black musicians. He reportedly walked out of rehearsals when black backup singers were introduced without his approval. Carson noticed Crosby's discomfort whenever discussions turned toward civil rights or changing industry norms. To Carson, Crosby represented a softer form of segregation, one that hid behind tradition and nostalgia while denying black artists equal access to opportunity. Number 7, Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra publicly positioned himself as a supporter of civil rights. He defended Sammy Davis Jr., performed at integrated venues, and donated to progressive causes. Yet according to Tonight Show staff and backstage witnesses, Sinatra frequently used racial slurs in private moments, especially when angry. Carson reportedly struggled with Sinatra's contradictions more than open bigotry. Sinatra understood equality, supported it publicly, and benefited from its image, yet failed to practice it consistently in his personal behavior. Carson once remarked that Sinatra often did the right things for the wrong reasons. To him, Sinatra symbolized Hollywood's performative allyship, where public support masked private prejudice. Number 6, Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford embodied old Hollywood glamour, elegance, and control. On screen, she played powerful women, but off-screen, she reportedly enforced strict racial hierarchies. Archive studio contracts revealed clauses restricting her from appearing alongside black performers in equal status roles. She demanded segregated facilities and objected to scripts that placed black characters in positions of authority. Witnesses described her cold treatment of black colleagues even decades after segregation was being challenged nationwide. Carson privately commented that Crawford behaved as if civil rights laws never existed. Her influence allowed her to preserve outdated power structures long after society had begun to change. Number 5, Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston marched alongside civil rights leaders in the 1960s and proudly referenced his participation for years. Yet as time passed, his public language shifted dramatically. By the 1990s, Heston used racially coded rhetoric that blamed black communities for systemic inequality while dismissing structural racism. Carson, who interviewed Heston across several decades, noticed the evolution clearly. What disturbed Carson most was not ignorance, but retreat. Heston represented a generation of white liberals who supported civil rights when it was symbolic, but resisted it when it demanded accountability and continued action. Number 4, Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart's screen persona symbolized American decency, humility, and moral courage. Films like It's a Wonderful Life portrayed him as the conscience of the nation. Yet documented evidence revealed Stewart signed petitions opposing school integration and supported segregationist causes financially. He avoided public discussions of civil rights while quietly aligning himself against them. Carson reportedly found it difficult to reconcile Stewart's heroic roles with his real-world actions. To him, Stewart illustrated how wholesome images often conceal beliefs that upheld injustice rather than challenged it. Number 3, John Wayne. John Wayne stood apart from others on Carson's list because he never hid his views. He openly expressed belief in white supremacy, defended the displacement of Native Americans, and rejected working with black actors and directors. Despite these statements, Wayne faced virtually no professional consequences and remained a Hollywood icon. Carson's interviews with Wayne were reportedly tense and uncomfortable. Wayne's continued success revealed how openly racist beliefs were tolerated, even rewarded, when wrapped in patriotism and masculinity. Number 2, Dean Martin. Dean Martin's effortless charm and relaxed style made him seem inclusive and easygoing. Yet production records showed he enforced strict racial boundaries on his television show. Black performers would sing, but they were rarely treated as comedic equals or guest hosts. Martin resisted integrated comedy segments and maintained segregated social spaces backstage. Carson later acknowledged that Martin's attitude shocked people when finally discussed openly. To Carson, Martin demonstrated how exclusion could exist quietly, comfortably, and without confrontation. Number 1, Walt Disney. Walt Disney's influence extended beyond Hollywood into childhood imagination itself. For over 40 years, Disney Studios employed no black animators, enforcing policies that shaped who could create stories and who could not. Films like Song of the South reinforced harmful stereotypes, while black creators were excluded entirely. Carson understood that Disney's racism was not loud or personal alone, but institutional. It shaped what generations of children saw as normal, heroic, and American. That made it the most damaging form of all. Johnny Carson rarely confronted these issues publicly, bound by industry expectations and cultural silence. But privately, he understood the cost of protecting powerful figures from accountability. His reflections reveal a hidden history of Hollywood, where charm often masked harm and silence preserved injustice. Carson's legacy reminds us that what we celebrate matters, and what we ignore matters even more.